Hey guys, uh, welcome to part two of our webinars. So this webinar is going to be fairly short one. What I'm trying to do here is just give you an idea of how AI can be used for a bunch of stuff, really. But let me start with one thing, which is I'll what is Nail Framework? And Nail Framework, we discussed this in the past. So let me open up, actually, we have a new blog called nailframework.com. And what I've done here is on this blog, um, it's a quick synopsis of the whole framework. It talks about the four pillars, but then there are a bunch of articles that I will be posting here about various tips and tricks when it comes to job hunting. So I highly encourage everyone um, on this call to go check out the blog. Um, but I thought what we'll do this, we'll follow some of the tips that I've shared in the past here, but make it more of a practical video that you can use right away. Um, so let's start with networking. One of the things we do when we think of networking is how can we help others and how can we provide to others. But the problem is like people don't know all that you have to offer. So the advice that I've given to most people is even before you start reaching out to people and offer your help, first and foremost start with posting something that you know already. And so where AI can help, and something that you might have seen a lot of people do already, is use AI prompts to give you content ideas for, let's say, for posting about what it is that you're interested in. So throughout the session today, what I'll do is I'll take an example of an iOS developer, and it's a software engineer who's looking for a job. And so let's see first how we can leverage. And this is probably the one that I haven't prepared yet, so we'll just kind of wing it. So for networking, let's say your goal is to post something on social media every day. And that is to get the word out that you're an expert, you're interested in other people who work in the iOS software engineering field. And so one way you can start is we'll go and here are like the four AI platforms that we'll try out today. But let's try Gemini for this one. So if you're not familiar, Gemini is the AI brought to you by Google, and there was some like whiplash or backlash in the past about its capabilities and such. But keeping that aside, um, let's try this today. So let's say I'm an iOS developer and I would like to create um, sort of an online presence for myself. So I tell Gemini that. So I'm a software developer looking to post on LinkedIn on a regular basis. So let's say we go with that. Then what you usually want to do with the prompt is tell the AI what their role is in providing you with help. So now I'll say you are a let's say a social media expert who can write engaging posts for LinkedIn. So that's the role that sorry that's the role that we've given the AI. So now the question becomes like, how will the AI actually help you without knowing who you are, right? So for that, I would say there are a few ways you can either write out exactly your goal with the social media post. But as a shortcut, what I like to do is literally just give the AI my resume. So let it figure out what would be the best thing for me to post. And so for this example, I'm gonna go with a resume. Um, so this is a fake resume that I've created for an iOS developer. So this is PDF, and the reason I picked PDF is just to show you that formatting actually doesn't matter at all. When it comes to AI, don't worry about how good it looks as long as the information is captured. Sometimes line breaks matter, but we'll cover that later on. So let's paste the resume here. So now continue the prompt based on the, or let's say my resume above. Give me, not examples, actually, give me a list of topics I can post about. So that's it. All I'm doing is telling it who I am, what my goal is, who you are as the AI, and a lot of stuff about myself in the form of my resume. So when I post this, it'll start generating some topics. So looks like it picked up. I'm into Swift UI, MVVM architecture, RESTful API calls. So the first topic is technical expertise. Then, if I'm a software developer, I also work on projects. So it's talking about project experience and like the iPad app that I built. I worked with MapKit, real-time data access. Then we get into general developer posts, so lessons learned as a junior developer, and that's something interesting because if you look at the resume, um, you'll see that this person doesn't really have a lot of experience. Like they have maybe 2 or 3 work experience in the past. They have interned. So it picked up that talking about being a junior developer is something that you might want to talk about. And yeah, so on and so forth. So it gave you general ideas, which is great. So you can follow up here and say, um, and that's the benefit of this chat interface when you're working with an AI, that you're talking to it, you're telling it things. You can follow up, you can correct it. So in this case, we'll say, well, this is great. Um, Tell me a good schedule to use for the posts. So now I'm asking it to like help me with scheduling. So again, I'm not a social media expert. So given that I have no idea when to post, what to post, first I ask what to post, and I'm asking what should be the frequency. So it's saying 2 to 3 posts per week, which sounds doable. In weekdays, you would pick Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Flexibility is a suggestion. Be flexible and just based on audience engagement, which is true. The instructions, if you will, that you're getting from the AI are not set in stone. So I'm glad it mentioned something like this, which is adapt based on how people react to the content. So now that we have the schedule, let's say now write me a post for tomorrow. Let's pick a topic on the topic of why Swift UI is better than UI kit. So that's just some technical stuff. It's not important. Based on what kind of role you play, you'll ask like a different thing. Now it gave me that post. So it says Swift UI versus UI kit, embracing the future of iOS development. As an iOS developer, I spent a good amount of time working with both Swift UI and UI Kit, and then it goes into like why it's better. What about UI Kit? It's still a powerful framework. Do you prefer, so it asking like a call to action and then a few hashtags. So what I would do now is, and honestly, like the first instinct would be, oh, this is great. I can just copy this, post it on LinkedIn, and there I go. So that would be good. And in many cases, that's a good start. At least it gets you into the rhythm of 3 days a week, I'm going to post something. And then you can gauge engagement based on the topics that you picked. As you notice, like I gave it the topic, but I was informed by its previous recommendation over here, right? So I'm still in the driver's seat. I want to make sure that I'm talking about things that I'm knowledgeable about. But even with this giving me this post, what I would recommend now is, I mean, and if you guys are haven't seen my posts on LinkedIn, I write everything from scratch, and that's mainly because, and I'm just gonna open up my LinkedIn for now. So if I go to my profile, and what I'll do is like I'll pick one of the posts that I wrote. So this is a post that I wrote previously, right? And so what I'm going to do is copy this. And I agree, you might not have a post that you have written in the past. But what I would recommend, go to anything that you've written in the past. And what you are now going to do is ask the AI to copy the way that you write and change the content. So what we'll say is like, update the post to match the following writing style. So this is my writing style. Let's see what it does. There you go. So it took that post that was like bullet points, very formal, and it turned it into what my writing style is. What I like to do is write in a way that's more personal. So it's starting with like I'm diving headfirst into Swiftia, and let's be honest, there's a tremor of fear in my fingers as I type. And again, this might not be exactly as I copy it, but it's a far cry from this. Someone reading this can totally tell this was written by AI. Someone reading this or at least have some sense that it came from Pranay's mouth because that's how Pranay talks. So I would recommend trying this out, especially when you're starting out with content, posting content on LinkedIn. But yeah, that's the first step of the day. Post something when it comes to networking just to get your word out, get your thoughts out. It gets you into good rhythm. Prepare a schedule, and then use AI to write, rewrite, and reword the post that you're thinking of. And as you saw, this I think I'm logged into Gemini, but it's free. It's free to use. But the chat allows you to go back and forth, ask it to do corrections, make it shorter, longer, use different hashtags, whatever. So that was the first. And honestly, I took the longest time here because I wanted to show you the process with which we have developed these prompts over time. And so it's all about experimentation. Now let's go to the a few other ones. So the other three that we're going to talk about are actually prompts that we have published on nailframework.com. So the first one is how to use AI for your daily work journal. And if you haven't heard of a work journal, it's essentially the best advice someone can give you when it comes to career reflection and planning. Most of us, like we talked about last time, we start with applying to jobs first. Then we go networking, then we do learning, and then we go think about like what is it that we really want to do in life. Whereas it should be the opposite. We should start with introspection. So let's do that today. So we'll start with one of the tools that you have that you should use when it comes to introspection, which is work journaling. And many people do, like I know, do this. I've done this on and off, but like the way my attention span is that I don't see myself doing it daily, and I try to reflect, sort of like a meta reflection. I try to reflect, why is it that I don't reflect? And what I realized was there are a few things. First, like I have a bunch of excuses that I can give myself. I don't have time. There are other things I can do with my time. There is, even if I do it, who's going to go back and read? What's the benefit? So I had like all sorts of reasons that I gave myself. But what it came down to, at least for me, was um, it, I would do it, and it actually doesn't even have to be written. It could be just verbal. But if someone was there who would prompt me, who would say like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" or "What do you think of that?" or "Why did you do that in your career? Why did you move from like A to B?" I would just sit and talk, and then say things out loud that make me think, at least. And if I was smarter, I would like write them down. And writing is, in some, like, obviously it's different for different people. Like I think better when I'm talking, but for most people, when you're writing, you can think better because it gives you time for your brain to think. By the time it goes to your hand and onto paper, you've thought of your second thought, and so on and so forth. So yeah, the bottleneck is, what do I even think about? What do I even write about? So what is the question? So what I've done is, like, here's a prompt that we can use, and it's very similar to what we did previously. So actually, this time let's use Meta AI. So Meta AI, again, meta.ai. It's free to use. I'm gonna paste the prompt here, and there's a place here where you can put in your resume. So we're gonna again copy this resume and paste. Let's say continue without login, and it might ask you for these questions as well. I'll say, um, all right, perfect. So let's go through the prompt really quickly. So I'm telling it you're a career coach with years of experience helping individuals reflect. The best advice you've given is to help them reflect and to help them think about future goals. The newest client is very important, which is you in this case, and this is their resume. And then I say they need to start the work journal today, and we'll come back to your future advice in 20 days. So for the next 20 days, give them 20 questions or prompts to think about and write. So here's what Meta AI came up with. So days 1 to 5, reflecting on past experiences. Days 6 to 10, planning for the future. 11 to 15, reflecting on values and strength. And then 16 to 20, planning and goal setting. So honestly, great sections. It's divided up. Um, so let's look at one of the questions. So planning for the future. What are your long-term career goals, and what steps can you take in the next year to achieve them? Good question. I would definitely sit down and think about that. What skills or knowledge gaps do you need to address to stay competitive in the industry? So I also feel like at times you might read this question and be like, oh, I don't know. Well, that's the whole point. You don't know because you never sat down and thought about it. So what I would do is, now that I have these 20 questions, copy them, put them in like a Google Doc or a Word doc, whatever document processor you use, and put one question at the top on each page. And then every day, set aside maybe 30 minutes if you don't have time, maybe start with like 10 to 20 minutes, and think about that question. Write down the answer. Maybe you'll have to like do some searching, whether soul searching or online searching, but searching nonetheless. And then write down what your answer is. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just for you, just for you to reflect on. So write that down. Um, let's see, for goal setting, like another good one is, of course, like you should set some goals for yourself, and these prompts will make you think, what is it that you really care about and want to do in life? And again, like before, this is one prompt. So essentially what this is called is one shot prompting. So you gave it a prompt, it gave you an answer, and you can choose to just take it like this, or you can follow up. You can say, I don't like these. Make them more, game like. So I don't know what Meta is going to do in this case, but let's see what it does. So it changed it. reflection rift, bug bash, identify a past project bug, tech track, describe a technology, then future forge. So I'm not a gamer, but it sounds like a fun thing for a gamer to do. So you can ask it to like do different things with your prompt, anything that keeps you engaged. Let's go on to the next one. And by the way, if anyone has any questions, feel free to keep posting in the chat. And towards the end, I'll just go over these questions and see if I can answer them. All right. So we're done with introspection. The logical next step after you've kind of like been thinking about these things would be to like start upskilling or learning to go to the next level in your career. And so the next one here is a learning coach. And so this one is again a two-part. It includes both introspection and learning. But the first and it's one of those where you do the first and then you do a follow-up prompt. So I'm going to copy this prompt and then okay, let's try ChatGPT this time. So I'm going to paste that, and once again go to your resume, copy that, go in here, paste it, and let me post. So let's go over the prompt here as well. And yeah, it's typing. So act as an experienced mentor and career coach. Your newest client is very important and needs help in figuring out what career direction to take. Below is the resume so far. And then based on their education background and past experience, suggest 5 options for future career roles they can explore. So the reason I asked for 5 options is I'm going in with the assumption that I haven't taken the time to reflect and figure out what is it that I even want to do next in my career. And so what this did, it gave me technical lead or engineering manager. That's one direction I can think of going in. I could go from being an iOS developer to a full stack developer. What that really means is that instead of focusing only on building iOS apps or apps for the iPhone, I can now build apps for the web or for Android or for, there are like things that we do on the server side that no one sees, but you need a developer to do it. So you could go in that direction. Now that you're good at the mobile side, you could become a mobile product manager, which is interesting as well. You already know how to develop apps, but in technology, we have another role called a product manager, whose main goal is to talk to users, talk to people, all sorts of stakeholders, and help the developers actually build the product that you guys see and use every day. So that's a great suggestion as well. You already know the tech. Now go talk to people and help companies build a mobile product. UI UX designer, another great one. You're already interacting with people who are designers, so maybe that's something that you want to pursue. And then finally, just a technical writer or a content creator. So you could become like a YouTuber who wants to talk about iOS or development or like any of these above. So honestly, great 5 suggestions. And I might say, well, I'm not really good at talking, so maybe the content creator is out of question. I'm not that good at design, even though I'm interested. It doesn't really, I find it a pain in the ass to like just, when designers are like, oh, change that 5 pixel left or right. So maybe not for me. But this is interesting. I could go in the direction of product manager. So let's say I like that. Now, if we go back to our post, so the follow-up prompt would be, okay, now that I have chosen an option, now I'm going to ask AI, hey, now help me actually get to that goal. So now I have this as a direction, and I'll paste that here. So let's prompt that. Okay, so let's look at this prompt. So this is great. The client is very interested in pursuing mobile product manager. Given the client past experience and the goal of pursuing the option above, create the 3-month plan for them to learn something new each week. The plan should make sure that they're ready to start interviewing for their new position. Be sure to include both online and real life opportunities. So let's see what it came up with. So I asked it for a 3 month plan. So it broken it down by weeks. And here are some additional resources. So let's see. So month one, understanding product management fundamentals. Good. Starting with the fundamentals. Um, it's recommending a course that's available on Udemy or Coursera. In real life, you want to go to meetups, virtual events. Um, Dive into like diving a little bit further after week 1 and 2. Um, you know, to create products customers love. So book suggestion, then real life suggestion. So as you can see, fairly detailed and good. And again, I could continue now. I could say, okay, I'm in week 1, 2. I looked up this, but I didn't find anything. Suggest something else. Or I went to a meetup. They told me this. Now change my future plan based on this new thing that I've learned. So, you know, use this as your follow up questions that you're going to ask in the chat below. And what I would recommend each of these prompts that we're building, keep that in the history. I'm not logged into ChatGPT, so nothing is being saved. But um, ChatGPT has a free plan. You want to leverage that. One thing I would recommend, since I've used ChatGPT quite a bit, and we also use it in Skip Round, is GPT-4 tends to do a lot better than 3.5. You can already see, so what I mean by 3.5 versus 4, like if you drop down here, you'll see these two options. 3.5 is a very capable AI model, but it's, I would say, like a generation before what's currently the smartest, most capable model, which is GPT-4. So if you can afford it, I would definitely encourage purchase GPT-4. Another thing is the reason why we're trying out different AIs is even before purchasing, just compare your results with the same prompt from one AI to the other, and you'll see like they do something slightly differently. You might prefer one over the other. So experiment yourself and pick the one that you really enjoy. So we're nearing the end, so I'll quickly go over the last one, which is how do you write a better resume? And this one is interesting. There are like two levels of what you can do here. One is you can start with um, literally this prompt. You say, here's my resume. Um, Give me, so we haven't tried Bing yet. So let's do that. Copilot. Okay. We'll go with this. Oh, actually, let's just go here. So here, I'll again go to my resume, copy it, paste it, and looks like there is a limit here. So let's not try Bing. Let's go back to Gemini. And what I'll do is start a new chat. Paste that here. Oh, sorry. That's the. So copy the prompt. Did I go? No, we're doing Gemini. Okay. Copy, paste. So this is like one thing you could try right away without doing anything else is like you gave it your original resume and you told it, hey, you're a professional resume writer, now rewrite it. A few caveats I like to give to AI: do not change facts such as dates, do not make up anything that's not already mentioned, and then ensure there's at least 3 bullet points, and then just use a North American resume format. So I came up with this, which is fairly good. It's definitely better written than what I had, like experienced iOS developer with expertise in Swift UI. Here it says highly motivated iOS developer with proven track record. So of course, like very well worded already. The only issue I have with this is that it only took what was given to it in the original resume. Now, a resume, if you will, it's an ad for yourself. So if you think about how people advertise to you, there is a billboard out there that is, just a blanket statement, hey, online gambling is great and you should try it. And that's like, it might work on some people, but it's there because it's for everyone. Now, if online gambling people were smart, what they would do is now they would start showing you ads on your Instagram. And the difference between an Instagram and a billboard is that Instagram knows a lot more about you than the billboard does. And so now these advertisers can have like 20 different ads to entice you to do online gambling. And if they were responsible, they might not even target people who are at a point where online gambling might be a problem for them. So not only can you target better just to sell your product better, but you can also target better because you know them and you can be a more responsible advertiser. And so, in my mind, the same applies to a resume. A resume is your ad to the employer. Now, you could put up that one resume, which is this, or you could say, well, you know what? I already know what every company wants as when I read their job description. So why don't I change my resume based on the job description that they're already telling me? So if you want to get to that level, there is this other prompt that we'll use. So we'll go to Gemini again, start a new chat, paste here. So let's. So the first is you're a professional resume writer in the field of, so I'll say software engineering. Then I have to paste my resume, which I'll copy again and paste. And then I have to paste the job description. So I think I have an Indeed page open. I would recommend in this case, when you're copying the job description, copy everything, like including the name and everything. Like, again, for AI, it doesn't matter. You don't have to make it pretty. Just copy it and then paste it here. So here's what I did. Actually, let's post this. So let's open up the prompt. You're a professional resume writer, expert in software engineering. Below is my current resume. I'm applying to this job. I just copy pasted. And then I'm telling it, read the job description and figure out the important skills and keywords. Then read my resume carefully to find out what's missing. And then ensure the following, whatever we talked about previously. One thing I noticed in this, sometimes it would include the actual job you're applying to as an experience in the resume. So I've added, remember this is a job application. I do not currently hold the position in the job description. So there you go. It came back with a new resume. Still starts with highly motivated iOS developer. But what it did was based on what the job description talks about. So actually we can just scroll up. So the job description is they're looking for design and implement advanced features with Swift UI kit, which I obviously have. So it was up to me to make sure that this is a good job application for me to apply to. But then all it did was it not only reworded your resume, but also took into account things like your experience that they're looking for, RESTful APIs, familiarity with Git, and stuff like that. So I would say use this approach, and rightly so. This is like a more involved thing. You probably would feel like if I do this for everyone, I can't apply to too many jobs. And in my opinion, you shouldn't apply to too many jobs anyway. You should apply to only the jobs that you're really good fit for. And in case you're like, it's still too much work because now you have to take this and put it in your Word or whatever document processor you use to write your resume, and then convert it into a PDF. You can use skip round, and skip round, essentially we do what you saw here, but we use OpenAI's GPT-4, which is the latest, most capable model, and we give you that format, and you just click a button, it gives you the PDF. So use skip round if you want, but also like Gemini, freely available. You can try that out. So I would probably stop this here. And yeah, just look at if you guys have any questions. So, any questions so far on any of this, or any tips anyone has that they would like to share? Oh, and by the way, I'll post the link to the blog. So nailframework.com. You can just go to that and check out the blog. All these prompts are there except for the first one, which maybe I'll post shortly. Um, you can subscribe as well. There's more to come on that front. But yeah, follow me on LinkedIn. Follow Skip Round on LinkedIn. That should be really helpful. We post tips there all the time. That's great, Tanu, that you're finding value in this. All right. I think we'll cap it up here. Like always, feel free to reach out. Oh, actually, there's a question. Do you happen to have a list of the prompts you shared? Yeah, so I mentioned go to nailframework.com and you should find it there. Good to hear, Manvi. Uh, Yeah, definitely. LinkedIn is one of those platforms where we feel only influencers or people who have lots of followers should be posting. But I personally believe that's definitely not true. Post whatever you know, you'll find your people. That's the idea. It's like, and not only post your own content, but engage with other people's content. And that's a great way to even find what you should be posting as well. You'll see when other people post based on the engagement that they get, that's probably a topic that is interesting to people. You might not on day one or even like week one or month one start seeing like hundreds of likes. I just started maybe like a month ago, and I'm not getting huge engagement, but that's not why I'm posting. I'm posting because I have something to share. It helps me again think, reflect, write. And if I don't post it, it's somewhere sitting on my notebook anyway. So might as well just post it out. It gives me a place where I can go back. If someone asks me for a tip, it is somewhere that I've written and I can share with them. And same thing goes for like every industry out there. So you're a developer, talk about development. You're a product manager, talk about that. You're learning something, talk about that. So yeah, post for sure. All right, awesome guys. So this was great. We went a little bit over, but hopefully a good, helpful session to everyone. I'll look forward to see you guys again soon. Cheers.